People come together. If your head's together, and all need to feel, children of the child, let the spirit in your heart make peace in the nation, spread love from your heart, spread love. Yo, good morning. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining another edition of the Bread4Soul Convos. And today's guest is Linda Meyer. This is the episode that we will be, the first episode actually, we will touch on for the love of vinyl. And basically, I mean, my first introduction to vinyl was back in 2006, and I was a first year student at Wits University. And what happened was, well, we were just music enthusiasts, you know, as young guys, and I'm saying we because it was me and three of my friends, boys from Mafikeng, and we coming into, you know, Johannesburg, and we were I remember the first time seeing the Soul Candy store in Rosebank and just seeing the label Soul Candy before even thinking about records or anything, but just seeing the label Soul Candy, we're like, damn, we gotta go in there, you know, and that's how I got hooked into records. You start by buying one. Before you know it, you are an addict. And I'm currently now chatting to somebody who I believe is a bigger addict of records, Linda Meyer. Hey, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
I am good. Are you much of an addict? I'm sure you are. You must be an addict. Tell me about your first
Yeah,
addiction,
pretty
though.
much. Yeah.
Tell me about your first
I don't
addiction,
know
though.
how to even DJ on CD or
Really?
digitally at all. I've never learned. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is so profound because I was just about to get onto the fact that I play. I started when the digital era was starting to kick in and the vinyl
Yeah.
sales were
Everything's
were
broken.
starting to drop down at that time. But
Hmm.
I've seen both worlds. I've seen a bit of the vinyl world, and I've experienced obviously extensively the digital world.
Yeah.
But I will say without a doubt, playing on vinyl is different from CD. I mean, you don't have the experience, but like for me, playing on vinyl, you have it's so you are involved as a DJ. Like within
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
craft. You're not just
Yeah.
where you can see the tempo and you're done. Obviously, like digital, but playing it's not the same, guys. So the debate
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
over. We can stop debating. It's not the same.
Yeah. I've been told it's much more difficult than playing digitally.
Yeah, yeah, it is definitely. It
Yeah.
is because you're always involved. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I started with
It's also a lot of people say it's more fun because it's so hands-on. You have to
yes,
be busy the whole time.
correct, correct. I started with a song of yours. It's called "The Power of Love," right? Spread the love.
Spread love.
Spread
Yeah.
the
It's
love.
actually was I was part of a duo called Say and Meyer, and that was one of the songs that we released on
Yeah,
vinyl. Came out.
yeah,
Well, we didn't release it; was to another label. Yeah.
yeah. I remember this song from the first time I met you. We were playing together at Deep Town, Josie. I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
I was slightly late. I was slightly late, but
We
as I
actually met before when you played in Durban, I think, with Mbuso.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No, we met before. We met before in Devon. You are
It's
right.
easy to remember me because I'm usually the only fair person there. But if you didn't put the two together, now you know that was me.
But this song of yours, when we were playing at Deep Town, you were so adamant and were like, please don't cut it out. Like, can you please play
Yeah.
the full song?
A lot of people cut it because it goes really quiet, like in the middles, and they think it's ending. So, and the best part it happens afterwards.
Yeah.
Well, for me anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you so much for doing this and for spending the morning and time to have a chat with me.
Yeah.
Cool.
Hello to everyone, by the way.
Yeah, yeah. I can see if I can read a few names. Levan Fingers, Hater, and then I can see Abdul, Ralph Gam is watching, DJ
Uh,
Strategy, what's up, G? I see Kahiso Mashego, a couple of people. Anyway, Massive Deep, what's up, my man? Anyway, I wanted to chat to you about your starting your work that you've done for Juno Records. When was that, and
yeah.
what were you doing then? I know you're still doing something now, but in the beginning, when you started working for Juno, what were you doing?
Okay. Yeah, I did quite a few things that you know. When I first started, I was just recording all the sound clips. And then as time went on, then I started categorizing all the genres, all the records into different genres. And then the last few years before I came back to South Africa, I was running the production, manufacturing of records for the distribution department.
What does that mean, running the production for the distribution department? Actually,
So, with a distributor, normally what happens is that there will be labels that come to the distributor, and then the distributor will do the entire process of getting the records manufactured and then distributing it out to stores and stuff. Well, there are different options, but that's usually the most common way of doing it. It's called the P&D,
hmm.
production and distribution. So yeah, I that was what I did, manage the actual production
Yeah.
and talking to different labels about how they want their records to look and that kind of thing. And then someone else did the sales of like sending it out to different stores and stuff.
Hmm. And right now, how has that system kind of changed in any way in terms of record production currently, as you would know?
No, that particular way is not changed for years and years. I think from the beginning. But it is important to realize that there are different things, like independence, like house music, techno, dance music. Basically, it's a lot more on a smaller scale, and it varies to majors. You know, they have a completely different way of doing things, which I don't actually know much about at all.
Hmm.
Yeah, so yeah, as far as I know, everything is still the same.
Okay, and then but so your love for vinyl, did it begin before you were at Juno? Do you remember the first time?
Yeah, yeah. Well, when I started DJing in '99, that was really the only way that you could DJ. So, and then I moved to London in 2006, which is when people started like going out of vinyl here in South Africa. And I just stuck with it just because, well, the main reason is because I'm terrible with remembering names and stuff. I need the pictures. So then, I mean, I went to the UK, I worked at Juno Records. There was never any need for me to ever change what I was doing because in the UK, records were still like, you know,
Hmm.
huge. So,
Yeah,
you know,
and
and now I've come back, been back about 3 years, and it is much more difficult to DJ here on vinyl. Most places don't actually have turntables, but yeah, I mean, come this far, that's the point in changing at this point.
yeah, sure. But actually, it's a good thing that you mentioned that the difficulty of playing on vinyl here locally. I want to know what are some of the considerations that you find that people take or don't really take into consideration with regards to setting up for a vinyl for gigs. You know, especially for big gigs. What have you come across? That problems have you come across locally?
Yeah, well, most of the time, the turntables are set up right before I start DJing. So I unplug the CDJs and then plug in the turntables for me. And then that's because there's no sound check, no one's checked to see if everything's right. So usually there is some kind of problem. Um, a few of the festivals I played, and even at Deep Town, they didn't consider the wind factor. So the needle jumps as soon as the wind starts blowing.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Uh,
Needles. I always take my own needles just in case, but yeah, sometimes, you know, I
um,
went to a gig where I had my own needles, and even my needles didn't want to work.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember there used to be a time when I started in 2006 DJing, and there used to be a rule that DJs carry their own needles. You know, you don't share needles. Is it such an enforced thing right now?
it is. Well, I always tell people to have needles in case because you need backups always of needles. You know, so I barely find that I get to use my own ones. Um, yeah, I don't know. I guess it depends on you know if you want to use your own or not. Because if you use your own, you know that you're going to get the best sound quality if you look after your needles and have the best needles and stuff.
Yeah, and
Sometimes, like there's certain needles which I struggle to DJ on, like the pointy Concord ones. I don't like those, so then I change into my normal, like Stanton head shell things.
yeah, cool. I mean, I need to buy needles myself. You know, I've got a very small collection of records. I want to tell you about that, but I wanted before to speak about my collection. I wanted to ask
Mm.
you about. I mean, you running a store now. You opened your store in 2017, South Store Durban, and
Yeah,
so far, how has it been? How has the store been doing? I mean, obviously now because of the lockdown, I'm sure you've been affected. But before the
yeah.
lockdown, what has your experience been regarding your store?
Well, when I started the store, it was more of like a side hustle, a hobby. I also live in the store, so where the lounge would be of a house or flat, I've turned that into the store, and then my bedroom is part of the place. Um, so I never used it as a thing to make lots of money. I never thought you would make money from it. Um, and that still is the case. You can't really make a living off a small little record store like that. You need to always have some kind of thing. It's been great though. I will say most of my customers are Cape Town and Joburg based, having to ship to them. Only there's a small circle of us in Durban that buy on the regular.
Mm. And
Yeah, it's exciting to know that people are still into the whole vinyl thing.
yeah, and can you do you from the top of your head can you name some of the vinyl movements that are currently happening in the country? I mean, the ones that you can remember.
Well, in Durban, there's a club, YDE. I think you might have played there.
I have.
They're actually one of the only places I know in the entire country where they always have turntables set up because the owner loves vinyl as well. So,
I love the club,
um,
by the way, because it's such an intimate space. You know,
yeah,
everybody's in close proximity. But
there
yeah,
for
sorry.
music. There's no chairs by the dance floor. Everyone's just there to dance.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
it's very,
Sorry.
the crowd is amazing. It's very,
Yeah,
very cool.
sorry to cut
Yeah.
you off. Yeah, and other movements.
Um, in in Joburg, um, I don't really like this thing of separating vinyl and digital. It actually it makes me feel like people never always think of it as like something elite when it's not. It's just a personal preference.
Mm,
But I know of TGS, the garage sessions. Um, I'm trying to think now. I don't actually know, like I say, because I don't really pay attention to all of that kind of thing as
mm,
such. Like I just have know people, certain people play
mm.
on record.
It's actually
There's a couple of stores in Joburg that focus on like the deep house thing.
yeah, vinyl
I think is
joint,
it Open
vinyl
One
vinyl
and
lifestyle.
Vinyl Lifestyle, yeah.
I know that there's some
Uh,
guys Craig digging in Rivonia. Have you been
oh
there?
yeah, yeah. They play like quite a wide variety of sounds.
Yes, yes,
Yeah. There's a few people that I know. Um, what's his name? Bilal. I think they play vinyl quite a lot.
yeah,
That whole crew,
yeah,
but I don't think they're strictly vinyl.
yeah,
Um, hmm, yeah. But there's a lot of people that are into the whole vinyl thing.
yeah.
In Lesotho as well,
Nice.
Les New. I played there a while ago. Yeah,
That is
they're like
dope.
super passionate.
That is dope. I like the fact that it can go both ways. You know, like you could have movements that strictly say we only play vinyl, right? And
Mm,
like the ones that we mentioned, Craig Digging, where they play hip hop, house, anything. It doesn't really matter as long as it's
mm,
vinyl. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, I just like that it's their movement and it's working. And I like to see when a movement happens and there's support behind the movement. Because when I go to Craig Digging, it's always packed. You know, they've got a very decent amount of support. But also,
yeah.
it's in the same light important to note that we shouldn't be dividing the two platforms, you know, because at the end of the day, we're all playing music. You know what I mean? But do you think that more clubs in South Africa should be having vinyl or turntables set up all the time?
Yeah, it should. I think most clubs should have turntables because then the scene for vinyl will also grow. You know, because then it's easier. A lot of DJs would prefer to play on vinyl, but then they play gigs and it's too much of a mission to take their vinyl because it's not set up or whatever. You know.
Mm, mm. I
Yeah,
hear
it would
you.
be nice
I hear
and
you.
less stressful.
And less stressful, definitely.
Yeah.
I've played it.
There's so many people that would DJ on vinyl if things were different. You know.
True.
And not also this whole exclusive thing, the snobbery around it. Then other people, then there's always this fighting about who's better or you not better. Like, so
Mm,
then people push back against that. Good
mm,
music is good music.
true.
It's the same for genres. There's all these micro genres. So
Mm.
let's enjoy all kinds of music. You know.
And do you think with vinyl being so? I mean, vinyl is not cheap. You know, it's quite an expensive hobby and expensive platform to be part of. To play
It,
on.
it is, but sorry to interrupt. If you had to buy on Wave the entire EP, it's almost about the same price as a record. It's not that far off.
I mean,
That's if you buy all the tracks on the EP, of course.
oh, on Wave. Yeah, I mean, like, you should say that because you own a record store. You know, I'm not. I will never judge you for that. But it is expensive, Linda. I mean,
Yeah, sure.
for example, when I order my stuff from Juno, and
Mm.
I'm spending maybe like $700, you know, on two vinyl, or something like that. I would not
Mm.
spend $700 on two releases, digitally, you know, but I still
Yeah,
do if I really really love the songs. So that's my collection. Yeah, I wanted to get, if I really really love the songs, I will spend the money just to increase my
yeah. Because
collection.
you
And
want to own it anyway, you know.
yeah, and
It's digital, it's just the file that can go missing even.
but no, but I mean, that's controversial. I want to ask you, do you remember? Okay, let me ask you about your collection, right? I've got literally three bags. Wait, I'm gonna show you the sizes. So this is the size of a bag that I have,
Yeah.
and a lovely bag by a guy called Gibbs Premium. He needs to pay me for
Mm.
this. Um, anyway, I've got three of these bags, right? It's not
Yeah.
a big collection at all because, like I said, I
Yeah.
started kind of on the decline of vinyl, say, and on the introduction of digital. But what does
Mm.
your collection look like in terms of numbers, if you have in your head?
I actually don't have such a big collection. It's probably like around 1,000 to 1,500 records,
Hmm.
I think. Yeah, my buying has slowed down a lot since I moved back to South Africa.
Yeah.
So
So
it's
I
kind
mean,
of stopped growing at such a fast rate.
yeah. But
Mm.
are you of the belief that
More than you. No.
yeah, definitely more than me. So, yeah, like I said, you are a bigger addict. Vinyl is so
Yeah.
addictive, guys. I remember when I
And
started. Sorry, you wanna say something?
yeah, I have a lot of people that come buy records from me for the first time, and I tell them, be careful
Hmm?
once you start, can't stop.
That is so true. That is so true. And my girlfriend, my partner, who's a DJ too. Like I said to
Mm.
you yesterday, she wants to start learning vinyl, and I think
Mm.
she needs to be careful. You know, we need to be clear from which budget are these vinyls coming from, because once she gets hooked, you know, you'll never stop. But I wanna
Yeah, exactly.
get to a point and ask you about, do you reckon that the sales of vinyl, the sale of vinyl is coming back, is rising?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's difficult in South Africa because it's expensive, and obviously our whole socioeconomic way of things, importing, it's very expensive for us. But I mean, there's a lot of, like I said, there are a lot of people buying records in South Africa. But from my experience in the UK, it doesn't even seem like it ever really died down, you know. But
Mm,
I also think because it's easy there for
mm,
people. All clubs have both turntables and CDJs. I
mm,
mean, most clubs have like four CDJs and two turntables.
and there's a
Yes,
couple of pressing
and obviously it's
plants
cheap.
as well. In
Sorry.
There's a couple of pressing plants as well in Europe. You know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The plants are there. That's the thing. Like, if you had to press records for South Africa, then you have to have them shipped all the way from there, which is
Mm.
a lot of money.
Apparently,
And then if you want to sell back to Europe, then you have to ship back to Europe,
more money
unless
for.
you have,
Mm.
yeah, sort of contacts or something.
Apparently, there used to be a pressing plant in Zim. Um,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah. That's actually they sold it. I don't know where to, but somewhere overseas, just before or around the time when I came back in 2016. So that's the last pressing plant in the whole of Africa that's no longer in Africa.
it is crazy how South Africa has never had a pressing plant as one of the biggest consumers of music. You know, in not only in.
I actually don't know. I think there might have been like back in the day when people were pressing Kwaito to record, but I
Mm,
don't know for sure.
mm.
You
But
know, there was a lot of all of that music going around.
yeah, and would you recommend that local producers press more vinyl? Is there financially, is it a viable thing? What have you seen with regards to local music, especially with your store or other stores?
Financially, it's not directly financial gain from actual sales of your record. But if you can press onto record, well, usually what happens, it's not you as an individual pressing to record. You get assigned to a label, and then a label will handle all of that stuff, the pressing and the sales for you. And because it's expensive to do that, your music has to be really good, meaning that they know that they will be able to sell you music, which means that if you are good enough to press onto vinyl, chances are that you will, get a little bit further. So you'll get more gigs, maybe. It's good promotion for gigs.
Hmm. I hear you.
So from that point of view, it's quite nice.
But do you have from the top of your mind the kind of figures for releasing? How much does it kind of usually cost to release a single on vinyl as a producer?
Uh, I don't know. Oh, well, we can work it out, but for about pressing records, the cost before marketing or anything like that is about 11 to 15,000 for 100, 200 records. So,
Hmm.
how much is that each?
I mean, let's. I don't know. My math is not that good. So if it's 100 and if it's 15,000 and you are printing maybe 150 records, it's 100 rands per record, right?
Yeah, and then plus shipping, which would be for
Okay.
100 records would be about 150 pounds. So that's about another 3,000
Yeah.
to get it to South Africa. I mean, you can if you're doing it yourself, because if you do it through a distributor, they obviously take their cut.
Hmm.
And there's different ways, different deals that distributors will give the labels. So like some will only start paying the label after they've sold 100 or 200 records, and then the portion that they give is so small, and then the label takes their 50% or whatever advance that they're paying you, you'll get that.
Hmm.
So if you're only pressing 300 records, if they are only selling 300 records, then you're not going to probably make anything.
Hmm. If I just
But
remembered now.
if you do it yourself as the artist, or you have your own label, that you can make a little bit of money.
Yes.
If you import it and sell it to South Africa, South Africans only, then maybe you can make a few rands.
Yeah. And how easy is it? If I have a vinyl and I wanna put it out on Juno, how easy is it an easy process, or is it, do I need now to have distributors, online distributors like that, stuff like that?
Um, on Juno, no, you can sell directly to Juno if you press yourself. But what happens is their process is they'll put up like a pre-sale of it, of that record, and see if anyone requests it. On Juno you can have
Yes.
that add to like notify me when this comes out.
Yes.
They have a look at how many people request it, and then they'll order that specific quantity from you. So if only one or two people request it, which does happen, then
Mm.
that's the amount they'll order from
Yeah. I mean, I know.
you. And
Sorry.
as a distributor, they do it as two ways. One, they'll do just straight distribution, where you as the label or the artist presses it yourself, and then they use that same method where they check how many people are interested in it, and then they'll buy that specific quantity off you. And then the other is a P&D, where they they decide if your music is good enough,
Mm.
um, which they have like all these ways that they measure it based on if the artists have sold a lot on Juno before and that kind of thing. And then they'll handle all the costs of pressing and distribution, and then pay you per record sold
Mm.
to the whole world.
Okay. I mean, I know that you are not a spokesperson for Juno, but you are doing some work with them. I'm gonna ask you about that a bit later. I wanna ask you now, if I'm pressing my record as an independent artist and I have my label, I wanna press this record and I contact a presser in Europe to produce these vinyl. Um, do
Mhm.
you can I send that directly to Juno? Once Juno has agreed to sell, instead of me getting the vinyl to South Africa and then back to Juno, is there such a possibility?
Um, Not Juno specifically, no, but I think there are companies that will help you, keep it there and then distribute it for you.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't have the exact details, but if anyone wants to hit me up, I can do the research for them. And,
Okay.
you
No.
know,
Great. There is just talking about people who press vinyl. I remember I sent a message to a friend of mine who was asking me because we had just pressed vinyl for moving circles. And if
Mm.
people want to know and want to check this is just one store that I know about. It's the website is www.mpo.fr.
Yeah,
mpo.fr.
yeah,
Yeah, I know.
that's the one that Juno uses, NPO,
Yeah,
or
I'm.
were using when I was there.
Yes.
I think they use another pressing plant called Vinyl Presents.
Okay.
They are UK based, and then there's another plant called Rand. They're in Germany. Their quality is exceptionally good, but they are also expensive.
Hmm. Okay. Um, yeah. So if people wanna check it out, they can check out those websites or those sites. I saw there's someone here who mentioned that there is another plastic movement in the Free State called Plastic Gathering. So yeah, shout out to you guys. If you know more of, if
Yeah,
anybody out there
absolutely.
knows more of these vinyl movements, you can just hit us up on the comments, so that we can create some awareness. And I see SK Dog. What's up, bro? He's saying that
Oh
that
yeah, sorry, forgot about you. I'm not good on camera.
he's saying that the pressing plant in Zim was apparently bought by guys in Cape Town, although they've never really put it into operation. Okay, cool. Yeah. So yeah, that's the technicalities and other stuff. But I wanna chat about um
I feel like I just need to say that there's no point pressing a record if it's not going to. Well, you can, but you're going to lose a lot of money. And I don't want anyone to have any of these hopes and dreams that their records will be able to sell in Europe, because in Europe the sound's not quite the same as South Africa. We love our deep house in South Africa, and it's a bit more harder and tougher there. So that kind of stuff sells a bit better in Europe.
hmm,
Yeah, there is obviously deep house that does sell there, but it has to be really, 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 really good to stand out,
yeah, I love that point. The fact that
to
you
bring something unique to the
definitely.
table, which is standard for anything we do.
So you saying you would advise somebody to press if it's good, if they believe it's good, if the quality is good, and there's some kind of response somehow, you would advise people to press on vinyl.
I would advise someone tries to have their records signed to a label first, just so that they get the experience to see how things work.
Mm,
And then once they've gone through that procedure, they can try to do it themselves. Um, yeah, it's quite a task to self-distribute.
yeah,
It's a lot of hours, a lot of stress,
yeah,
but it can be done.
it
There
can
are
be
people
done.
that do it because you take a bigger portion of the profit, so sometimes it's worth it.
Yeah, cool. And I just wanted to make another point with regards to pressing music on vinyl. I've heard that I don't have the direct terminology, but I've heard that um, releasing or pressing something on vinyl, your song has to be mastered in a certain way. The way Ralph Gum tried to explain it to me one day is that your your low end, which means the kick and the bass, anything your low frequencies have to be all in mono. So you need somebody at least to have a check at your current release if your low end is in mono and if it will sound good on vinyl before deciding to press, because at the pressing plant they might not even listen. If they get a file and they press, it's done. There's no changing.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think people
See,
should.
what usually happens is like with if you're getting the label, will then either master your music if you're going through a label, or the distributor. Like when I was working at Juno, the label would just send the raw audio and then use their mastering place to master the thing, get it ready for vinyl.
Sure. But if you're doing it yourself, you at least have to have somebody to check it, so that you are.
Yeah, but that's the thing. The distributor will, even if you send mastered files, they'll still send it to their mastering company to put it, because it has to get cut onto a piece of metal that then gets sent to the pressing plant. So it
Yeah,
has to go through their mastering system anyway.
great, great. Actually, yeah. Thank you for noting that. Um, there's another guy says a vinyl movement in the Val. It's called vinyl intoxication, and there's also B Soul of Augmented Soul who hosts vinyl sessions in his own house. But in his own house, my man, come on. There's a vinyl meltdown in the Val by Ncedi. Back to Basics by Brown Skin, also from the Val. Hey, so the Val guys, you must book us then. Book us. I play vinyl, so now you know. Book
Yes,
us in
guys.
the yeah. Anyway, I want to know, just touch a bit about what you're doing for Juno right now.
Now it's I actually working for the digital department at the moment categorizing the genres. Yeah, it's just something I started to do while the COVID to help pay the bills.
Yeah. No, great. Have you? Does it mean that are you saying that your store has been the main driver of your bills?
No, I was always doing other work, which I won't talk about.
You,
And it was always just my side hustle. But the other work I was doing died out at the end of last year. So, yeah.
okay. Well, I really hope that for you and for everyone in our scene that this virus gets dealt with sooner rather than later. Because it's very tough. It's very difficult. Stores are not doing well, and DJs are not gigging, and so forth. But I've got faith that if we keep on coming up with creative ways, we'll come out of at the
Yeah.
other side of this, much better than we were. And I want to talk about your store just quickly before we wrap up. How do people buy from South Store, Devon?
Most of what I do is special orders, but I do also hold stock. So basically, you just send me a list of what you want, new stuff, not like old music because it's out of press, so I can't get any more. Um, yeah, I just send through all my social medias. You can either check what I have on sale, which is nothing at the moment, or you can send your lists of what you want, and then when we can ship again, then
Yeah.
we can.
Okay. Cool. And
So all across all platforms at South Store 031, or you can email me southstore@outlook.com. I'm also happy to help anyone with any questions or advice. But if they email me, try to find a way of getting back to everyone.
cool. Great then. So talking about if anybody has questions to email you and so forth, I wanna uh, get to the competition. So today we are running a competition where you and I are giving away a free vinyl to the value of 300 rands, courtesy of South Store and Bread4Soul. And basically, guys, if you're watching this, I hope you've been watching the whole episode because you don't want to miss anything. If you miss something, I suggest you go back and watch the whole episode after we end the streaming so that at 12, when I post the question, at the competition question, or two questions at 12 noon today, the first person to answer the two questions correctly will win the vinyl voucher. So if you just tuned in and you wanna win the vinyl voucher, I suggest that after we stop streaming right now in about 2 minutes, please check the stream again, watch the episode for anything that you might have missed. I'm gonna post two questions on my page, the Sir LSG page. If you answer those two questions correctly, the first person to answer those two questions correctly will win a vinyl, and we'll contact you. Obviously, we'll see if it's not available right now on South Store. Linda can order it for you if it's available somewhere online,
Yeah.
and but the value is 300 rands. If you wanna get a vinyl for more than 300 rands, you can top up, but we are giving away the 300 rands, and I hope that it's clear. Very simple. Watch the episode again if you missed anything. Anyway, Linda, I wanted to just to close it off with something that I've been wanting to chat about. I'm gonna chat about as well with more DJs. Um, how close or far are we as the SA house music scene from dropping the label female DJ? Because I feel like a DJ is a DJ. Is it still relevant to say female DJs?
No, it's totally irrelevant. It's not. I mean, I hate it when people use it for anything, but it's not like a sport where men are stronger and can run faster or something. It's exactly the same thing. So there's no reason to say female DJ, and we should all practice and not ever use that term. You know. Yeah, I saw someone posted up and tagged me today where a guy said female DJs equal frogs. It's like as if no one ever says anything about the appearance of men DJs, you know. So like it's totally ridiculous. But it's not only in SA. It's a struggle that happens everywhere in the whole country, in the whole world. So I don't know how far away we are, but
Yeah, I mean, I hope that we really get over the notion and the label, because DJs are DJs, and if the DJ is good, the DJ is good. And I feel like I'm happy that there are more DJs who are female right now into the scene, who are doing their own things, because
yeah,
and especially those that are not waiting for other people to call them to do whatever. And I can mention a couple of ladies who are doing very well their own things in their own way. DJ Boucher,
yeah,
Lady Sake. I'll be biased and say Soul Diva, yourself as well. But there are many others. Lee, the cocktail, Tete, the village
yeah,
girl. There's many, but I really love to see people who go about doing their business without caring about the label that people have put on them, and we as guys should be more inclusive, and really be open-minded. Stop thinking about this as a male industry, because it's not,
yeah.
it's not. Yeah, anyway. um yeah.
Yeah, definitely not gender specific.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Linda, for
My
sitting down with me
pleasure.
and having a chat. And yeah, I hope we end this virus soon so we can hook up at gigs again, and jam.
Oh, that'd be nice, but that's not. Probably only next year I'll see you
Hey,
again.
don't jinx it. Don't jinx it. I don't want to hear any negativity. This, I just want to hear.
But
We
we
need.
do another. You can come on my show or something.
Yeah, yeah,
We have
yeah.
to keep doing virtual meetups.
Definitely, we have to keep up. So, and to everyone else watching this, thank you so much. Thanks for the love. Thank you for tuning in. I really hope that these sessions are bringing some value, and they are helping everyone in their own creative spaces. And let's get more positive. Let's get more creative with whatever it is that we do. And I just want to say thank you. So don't forget, guys, competition 12 noon today. I'm going to post a competition question based on this video. If you haven't watched it from the beginning, do watch it after the stream has ended to win that vinyl, 300 rands worth of vinyl from myself and Linda Meyer. One last thing, guys, there's no S in vinyls. You can't say vinyls. You can't say vinyls. It's vinyl. There's no S in vinyl. That's all I wanted to say. All right. Peace out. Peace out. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Yo, Linda. Yeah, thank you so much, ne. I really appreciate